All right, so welcome. I want to thank your teachers for allowing you to give up your precious class time to come and join us today. Many of you I know. I'm Ms. Honey. I'm the librarian here, who hopefully you're all down here often. I have the pleasure today of introducing to you Thyme Sullivan, founder of TOP, the organic company project, and her chief brand officer, Ms. Danielle Finkelstein. And they're going to be here to talk to you about their experiences of forming this company. Ms. Sullivan, has her degree in economics from the University of Massachusetts. She started her career driving the Frito-Lay truck, and you can talk to her, I'm sure, ask her a few questions about her various requirements to wear a costume of a certain orange creature. Oh, yeah. And worked her way up. She's worked for Pepsi, Coca-Cola, and the third one, Nestle. And so started driving the Frito-Lay truck to being responsible for over $1 billion in corporate sales and revenues. So after 27 years in private industry, she's decided to follow her passion and take her expertise and create her own company, which I'm going to hand the baton over, that you can tell all about your experiences.
Thank you.
Please welcome Ms. Sullivan and Ms. Finkelstein.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys for coming today, and thank you, Kim, for having us in that great introduction. Saved me some of my talk there. I guess quick question. So today we're here to talk about how we started our company and our journey. Has anybody in the room ever thought about becoming an entrepreneur or interested in entrepreneur studies? Don't be shy. 1, 2, excellent. There'll be more by the end of this talk, I think. It's very, as you know, there's Shark Tank on the TV now. There's entrepreneurial studies at universities, which I wish they had when we were there. It's an amazing journey and an interesting choice. So we'll tell you all about our journey today, and we actually presented at a high school in Providence yesterday, and they had a lot of questions afterwards, so we'll make sure that we leave time if anybody has questions and change their mind about wanting to pursue an entrepreneurial journey after watching our adventure so far. So we'll tell you about how we have started a brand that is better for you, better for our planet, and better for others, social entrepreneurship. So in order to start a company, first thing you need to do is identify a problem. And in our case, it was identifying a category that was in need of change. Second is finding the solution to that problem, which will lead to your purpose. And purpose is critically probably the most important piece, because that will bring you your passion, which makes it all happen. So I will tell you about my journey, how it all started. So as Ms. Honey told you, it started at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, where the only thing she didn't mention is that her and I were in the same sorority together at UMass, and that's how we know each other. So thank you for inviting us here. Yes. And I used to have red hair, too. I know. I think we're the only two. That's where it all started. I was thrilled when I was at UMass that I landed an internship at a local radio station. And on my first day, I got dressed in my most super preppy sorority outfit. And imagine my surprise when I walked into WAAF in Worcester, and they handed me an extra small t-shirt and told me to hop on the rock bus. We were going to go hand out condoms at a nightclub on Lansdowne Street. Nice. My mother was so proud. It all actually worked out. I truly enjoyed the people that I worked with. As you can see, I ended up adopting the company uniform. I loved going to the concerts, the sporting events, setting up contests, and they offered me a job when I graduated. And I was thrilled. They offered me $17,000 a year. But I remember that my boss, who was definitely making more than me, in the evenings had to work another job to make ends meet. So at the same time, I was offered a job with Frito-Lay. Now, Frito-Lay at the time offered me $34,000 a year, which in 1991 was bank. I will tell you, I said, sign me up, I'll take it, I'll eat Doritos all day long, I'll do whatever you people would like me to do. I've got student loans, I'd like to move out on my own, this is fantastic. And as Kim told you, again, much to my surprise on my first day, This was my company car. Yeah. I could still eat Doritos all day. I was spectacularly awful as a route driver. I put my hand truck through the windshield. I tore the side mirrors off an unsuspecting Coca-Cola driver's truck. There was a Shaw's supermarket in Londonderry, New Hampshire that I used to deliver to that had such a small dock, they would announce over the PA in the back room for all the other vendors to move their truck so that I could unload by myself. And then I got promoted. Just to get me off the road, I swear. I could not drive a truck. It was a standard transmission too, by the way, 3-speed. Had to get out of the seat to step on the clutch. But I was a pretty good salesperson, so I stuck with it. Worked with, as Kim mentioned, Ms. Honey mentioned, I worked for Frito-Lay, I worked for Coca-Cola, I worked for Pepsi, and then at the very top of my career, I was working for Nestle, for the world's largest food and beverage company, and they simply gave me a bigger truck. But I was the boss, and I was managing the very non-glamorous wholesale grocery business for the country. Had over $1 billion in revenue, 31 direct reports, and then my job was eliminated. I couldn't believe it. We were successful, we were doing great, and they said, well, we still would like you to stay with Nestle. You can move your family up to Washington, D.C. or to Chicago. And then I thought, why is that my only choice? What else could I do? And strangely enough, Danielle, who was actually my cousin, was having a very similar experience over the state border in Rhode Island. She had a much more glamorous career than I did. She worked for Coach, she worked for Ann Taylor, she was in charge of opening up international markets for Kate Spade. She was reporting directly to the CEO and second in command at Talbot's in the very glamorous fashion industry. And then her job was also eliminated. And we both were at the same crossroads because we were the breadwinners in our family, and that's scary. So we could easily go get another job, just like the big jobs that we had, but we were away from home several nights a week, we were on the road constantly, we were missing our children growing up, and we just didn't feel a sense of purpose. We knew there had to be something else out there, but what could it possibly be? So I was in the food industry for 27 years. And I watched as things changed in the food industry. So people started eating organic food and clean food, and they understood, non-GMOs, and probably half of you are gluten-free now. Organic cleaning products, really big deal. My daughter, who's in 7th grade, started asking me about organic makeup. Really? It's a thing. What I started to wonder, and you're gonna think I'm really strange, but why doesn't anybody talk about period products? Did you know you were coming to hear that today, guys? I promise it won't be all about that. It's about talking about problems and solutions. But I wondered, why didn't anybody think about that? And I would tell you, it's a largely ignored category for obvious reasons. People don't like to talk about it. But did anybody see on the Grammys, there was actually a documentary on Netflix about periods that won an Academy Award, so we are trending, just in case just so you know. There are 3 major problems. I promise I will not spend a lot of time on them, but it's important that you understand if you're thinking about a business or even a career. It doesn't have to be entrepreneurship. It could be whatever work you go into. What's the problem that you're looking to solve? There are 3 huge problems with the feminine hygiene industry. The first one, and we won't spend long on this, fellas, is transparency. You can walk into a supermarket and pick up a jar of Heinz ketchup, and you know exactly what's in it. I don't buy it anymore because it's got high fructose corn syrup. You could pick up dog food, see what's in it. Pretty much everything in the aisles, you can see exactly what's in it. You cannot see, nor is the US FDA make the big companies tell you what's in feminine hygiene products, which is one of the most intimate products that girls use. So you'll see things like made in the USA from domestic and imported material. The side cover contains a nonwoven with at least 15% cotton, may contain rayon, polyester, fiber finishes, dyes, fragrances. It's insane that we don't know what's in these because what you put inside your body matters. The environmental impact. Now this is one that everybody can relate to because I am so encouraged by your generation. I have a son who's in high school and in 9th grade and a daughter who's in 7th grade. And they care about the environment and they care about causes. And I know you guys do too, because I see it all on the social media. Celebrities are jumping on board. Tom Brady's not using plastic straws. I know you guys aren't too, because we do what he says. Plastic bags are banned on almost every store that I go into now. It's fantastic. There is a real problem with single-use plastic. In the EU, they have just passed a law that by 2021, almost every single-use plastic will be banned. It will happen here too. This is something I pulled off of Instagram. It's a company called Drops, and they do like little pods for detergent that will just disappear in the wash so you don't get those big plastic jugs. But I love their marketing. By 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean. If any of you, there was a documentary on 60 Minutes, and I'm a total geek now. I'm watching all those shows about this plastic planet because it's real and it's a big deal. This is really, really happening, and we will see a day when we're not using single-use plastics anymore. And something maybe you don't know, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with the plastics, but it's estimated that every year over 45 billion products related to periods end up in landfills and take centuries to biodegrade. It's a much bigger problem than the straws. It's just a wonky topic for people to talk about. But ladies, think about it. It's really important, and we have a solution. Advocacy. This is another one. We just kept peeling back layers. We just didn't know about all the problems surrounding this category. There's a real thing called period poverty. 1 in 5 girls in the US have suffered from period poverty, meaning that they had to miss school because they didn't have the products that they needed. And how hard is it to miss one day of high school right now? You leave for vacation early, and everybody's got a problem with it. Think about if every month you're missing 5 days. It is impossible for women to be empowered and to reach their full potential if they can't go to school because they can't afford the products that they need. Those were the three big problems, and I will walk you through our solution. Transparency. So how do we make a better product? There wasn't a single manufacturer in the US producing an organic product or listing their full ingredients. This is our factory that we had. There were only 3 manufacturers in the world that we found through all of our internet searches. And the one that we chose to work with, this is in Barcelona, and they take green to a whole new level. They're all about like transparency of supply chain. You're gonna see more and more of this. So some really cool companies like Everlane is a clothing company that I love their transparency of supply chain. Every single thing they do, the power that they produce is from running water. It's out in the middle of the countryside. It's a family-run business. They're GOTS certified, which means that the factory workers, the farmers, everybody through their entire supply chain is guaranteed a fair wage. They just are doing it right, and there's no reason we can't do it right here. They are a true partner. When we go to visit them, we go to dinner it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and you eat for like 4 hours, and there might be some wine, but they go on forever. They have a big family atmosphere, environment. They're part of the community. They're fully transparent in everything that they do, and they produce a superior product that we're lucky enough to partner with them and to bring into the US. Because it's made with one ingredient. Their products are just made with 100% cotton, highly absorbent and very strong performing cotton. Oh, and by the way, all their products are completely biodegradable, even the packaging, all the applicators, wrappers, packaging, everything biodegradable. The ingredients are listed on the side. I challenge you ladies, or even guys if you're interested, go into the store on your way home and pick up a package. A package of pads will have no ingredients, and a package of tampons will say, might have, could have, whatever. And there was a huge recall by Kotex in December where they recalled 2 years worth of inventory because their products were falling apart in a bad place. And I'll leave it at that. Advocacy. This was from our first donation event. We hear a lot, and if you were watching the Academy Awards, that there is a real problem with girls in India and Africa. This is Dorchester, Massachusetts, 30 miles away from my home. We went and spoke to the nurse there, and she told us that her budget affords her for about 2 months worth of product. And then after that, if she doesn't go to the BJ's on the weekend with her nurse's salary and buy product for the girls, that they simply do not come to school. So they're in a charter school, so somebody advocated to get them in there. There was a process. They care about their education, but they can't come to school because their families are choosing between buying food and feminine hygiene products, and they have to choose food. We went and donated enough product to get them through the end of the year, and I brought my daughter, and we just did the same thing yesterday. In Providence, the school we went to, it's for teen moms and girls that are pregnant who simply would not go to school for various reasons. But there's a lot of reasons you should miss school, and that should not be one of them. And this is our advocacy. It's about how do we keep girls in school. This has driven us to our purpose. So there's my daughter, Josie. I started it for my daughter and for everybody's daughters and for women everywhere to make the next generation stronger, just like my mom did for me. And women have to have a choice. They never had a choice for years about what products they could use. You just assume that what's available is safe because the conversation is being controlled by 2 large companies, and they're simply not. And what is put inside your body truly matters. And here's what I would tell you. It was so overwhelming when we uncovered all of these issues, and we were thinking, what could we as individuals do? Well, one person, I knew I could make a difference, but we can all make a movement. And that's our story, and that is why we are here today. So thank you very much. Cool. Yeah. Gentlemen, thank you for understanding the topic, but
Important topic, even for guys.
yeah, it's an important topic. Got sisters, moms, and girlfriends, but it's about the journey and about finding problems that need solutions and building your passion around that. All right, now we had half the size group yesterday. We had tons of questions. Come on, hit us. All right.
What is the packaging and like wrapping made out of?
Paper. All totally biodegradable. Yep, 100%. Even like the wrappers. So everything is totally environmentally friendly.
Yes. And where can people buy this? Like, is it in stores or just online?
Very good question. We are all online right now. So we're all direct to consumer, all free shipping. It's a subscription model, but you can do a one-time purchase. And we're going to look to expanding. Before we get into retail, it'll be more selling to schools or hotels or gyms and supplying them in places where women need to have them. And retail is probably our last stop. Yes?
What's your trade-off for being more organic? Do you have to like raise your prices to compete with the competitors?
Yeah, it's almost the same as if you went to a store and you bought a pint of organic strawberries versus regular. It's the same type markup. So a box is $6.99. They're all $6.99, which is pretty much what you're going to pay for any product right now, but there's fewer in there. So it's a very similar markup to anything that you're going to buy organic. It's not, and really what would be the perfect solution is when we can bring manufacturing here. The importing is extremely expensive, and that's when we're truly going to be able to make an affordable product available for everybody. So it's definitely, an organic product, just like if you're buying anything else organic right now.
I know you said you help schools in the United States. Are you going to do that in other countries, other places?
Absolutely. Right now, it costs us so much money to get the product over here in order to get it back. So there's going to be a lot that comes into as we manufacture here, but also identifying partners in other countries that can possibly even produce there. Because it's really getting the stuff back and forth over the ocean that's crazy. But we had to start somewhere, but 100%. I mean, there's such a need in India and Africa. It's an epidemic there, but it's in our backyard too. So we're starting somewhere, and we would love to. We can help girls all over the world. Yes.
Is the factory in Spain the only place where you guys make them?
Today it is. We've also sourced another manufacturer that's going to help us expand into additional cotton-based products in Slovenia and in Milan. But there's nothing here, which is crazy. And going to Barcelona, super cool. Milan, all day long. Slovenia, I don't know how to get there. JetBlue doesn't go there. I don't know how I'm going to get there, but I got to go there. Yes.
How many people work at the project?
Oh, full-time, just us, but we have a lot of independent contractors. And that's actually a really good question because it is an economy now where you can outsource your help for your UX and your UI and your everything that you need, your accounting, there's somebody for everything that specializes. We really do hope to scale. We're just 6 months old right now. We're in our infancy, but we're just starting to work with some influencers and PR, and we're exhausted, so we're going to need to add some people soon.
And that's the reality of a startup. You just kind of hear the glamour of doing a startup. It's not glamorous, honestly, because you are doing everything. oh, my dining room table is the shipping for all of our PR boxes. So my kids don't get to have dinner at our dining room table anymore because it's boxes that are going to go out to influencers and bloggers. And it's I would say every 2 days, I'm shipping out 15 to 20 boxes. You're doing everything. I'm doing all the social posts. I'm doing correspondence. We actually just, super exciting, just happened while I was driving up here, is Providence just announced this past week, which I don't know if any of you guys actually saw in the news, but they're doing a pilot program because as we're talking about this advocacy piece and the donations that we've done, but what they did is the mayor actually announced this past week is that they are launching a pilot program to supply to 4 schools in Providence because they want to reduce the amount of absenteeism and because, and the main cause is because of period poverty for these young women. So they're introducing that. They actually want to work with us. Which is super exciting for us as we're just really getting our legs off the ground and really pushing the business forward. But so these are the types of things. You're manning everything. And what's great about Thyme and I is where our careers sort of took us both up is that we complement each other in such a way. And if you're going to start a business, you want to find somebody that's going to complement you, not that you're doing the exact same thing. I've always felt that in my entire career anyway, is to always find people that are going to round you out. You don't want people that are cookie cutter like you. What's great is, yes, we're cousins. We think a lot of the same things all the time. Sometimes we're like, wait, did you just say that? Wait, are we thinking the same thing? But it is about finding that complement. But when you're doing a startup, I mean, you are doing everything. And you find other people, you ask around a lot, you take risks. I will honestly say I've taken risks in things that I never thought I would. It's like, you know what, I'm gonna send that email. Maybe they're going to say no. Who cares? Maybe they're not going to respond. But maybe if I send 30 emails out, one person's going to respond. So it sort of opens your eyes to very different things. But I definitely think that risk-taking piece and just having that initiative, it's super, super important when you are doing this. And I think for both of us, we both took the skills that we took from both of our careers. And we may not necessarily have done the job, but we have figured out, we've seen it enough along our careers to be able to navigate and figure it out. And also just in our heads, like, all right, bounce it off of each other, but like, all right, we're gonna give it a try. We may not do it right, but we're gonna give it a try. And that's really the thing is you guys, in high school and then as you continue on is take advantage of wherever you are in your career, take advantage of the different skills that you're going to take on because you'll be able to apply them in different ways in the future of your career. It's definitely, I can say that for myself. I mean, I did, as Thyme said, I spent 24 years in fashion. I lived in New York for 20 years. We moved up here 3 years ago in Providence, and I left at the top of my game. And I was able to just kind of navigate through all the stuff that I've learned along the way to be able to really do this. And actually, it's given me a fire in my belly that I love being part of this with her and to be able to do this startup life. So.
My mom and I sometimes help out with the organization days for girls. Do you think that, like, after you hopefully grown and be one way internationally, you would partner with other groups, kind of like that?
It's a great question. So one of the things that we've been thinking about, I think that's a great recommendation. We love being able to go to the high schools right now and be doing those donations. In reality, as the business grows, that's not something that we're going to be able to do. So we are looking for who's going to be the right organization for us. I think as we started to also come down to what was the solution and where the problem was, a lot of the other brands that are out there that are doing organic, they're all focused on the millennial. And for us, what we really felt and really what pulled at our heartstrings, and it really came down to that 1 in 5 girls, like that missing school, and both of us as moms, we want to be here to empower the younger generation. And so our focus is actually on the high school student. So for us being able to here to talk to you guys, it's super important for us because we want to understand, like, what is it for you guys that is important? How do we start you at this young age to switch over into this product and how important that is? But around the organizations, we're looking for organizations that can actually marry to that age group. So who would be the right partner for us? So when we do want to do some of these donations, because within our business model, for every purchase that actually a customer makes, we donate back. So it's essentially a one-for-one. So if you think of Tom's shoes, they're a really great example of doing that. So it's essentially called a one-for-one. And there's a lot of other brands that are doing that right now, and that's important to us. So we need to figure out who's going to be the bigger organization that we can actually then partner with, that we can do these donations back to.
Does anybody want to hear about an epic fail?
Yeah,
That was probably my favorite question yesterday, and it was completely unexpected. Somebody just said, hey, have you had any failures? And I said, that is a great question, because one thing I think happens when you watch these shows, you read these magazines, all these Silicon Valley like entrepreneurs, and they get sold for 100 million overnight. There are so many failures along the way, and I'll share my favorite. When we first had our very first container come in from Barcelona, a big 40-foot container, I was so excited. And my brother's friend, you know, I got a guy, he's like, we got a warehouse, we'll handle your fulfillment. I said, that's fantastic, we can do that. So we pulled the big truck up to the warehouse. Well, the warehouse wasn't a warehouse, it was an old office building that was in kind of rough shape. There was no loading dock, there were no double doors. We ended up having to call 6 kids from the local high school football team to come help us unload the container by hand. We put they were stacked up to the ceiling in offices. There was no inventory control. There was really no place to fulfill orders. Everything about it was bad. And then the rain came down and the ceiling started to leak. And if there's one thing that our product does, it's highly absorbent. So I completely flipped out, and we had to load the truck back up and then go around and almost cry in front of several fulfillment houses, because we realized you want to do everything yourself, but there are people they're fulfillment houses, that's what they do, and there's a lot of things we could spend our time doing, but loading and unloading that truck and that business was, it was so scary, because it would have been months before we got more product, and it would have put us out of business. But that's just one example. There have been a lot of them, but it just happens. It's, along the way, and it's about, so when you take risks, sure, try to do it yourself, but then at some point you gotta know that there's somebody that's what they do, and you gotta let them do it. All right, more questions? Hi.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Griffin. I'm with my marketing class here. So you're talking about your target market is really the high school student. So I'm on your website now. I see you've got an Instagram. So what social media are you using? How often are you posting? What sort of your story you're trying to tell?
Great question. So we try to post almost every single day. Again, it's me doing most of the posting.
Please follow us.
Yes, please follow us. Please help our numbers. Oh, thank you so much.
We take boy followers
too. 1 hour, we're going to see it populate, which is great. No, so honestly, in regards to that was actually a side of the business. I was always responsible for product. So learning the marketing side was, again, I knew everything that was going on around marketing because I had all my partners were in marketing, but that's super important, is knowing this younger generation. We had to start thinking about, okay, Facebook, you guys don't use any Facebook. You guys are on Instagram, you're on Snapchat, you're on YouTube, and now we've just learned about TikTok. There's all these other things that are happening. Okay, no TikTok. Okay, good to know. All right. Well, we just heard about it, so okay, good. We won't do anything on TikTok.
I thought we were trending.
We're not trending. We're old. We're really old. But what made it really important for us is okay, for us, Facebook. So we obviously want to target the teenagers. That's important for us. But we also, who has the money is the mom. So we need to educate the mom as well as engage this younger generation. So Instagram, still trying to figure out how we cater to the high school student, but Facebook definitely making that much more about the mom. So making sure that we're talking to the two different audiences. It's difficult because it's still a lot of stuff to have to post all the time. So. It's a good question. I think one thing we should share with you guys is in regards to the marketing, our marketing mission and what we're doing, we hired this company which is called Social Media Link, and they are really what they do is they do a micro-influencer campaign, and what they are then really responsible for doing is, sorry guys. What they're responsible for doing is they have a database of about a million people who test products. And what they do is we can then target down specifically to the customer that we want and who that audience is. So we care about organic, we care about the age group, we care about who the customer is. You may care about advocacy, you may care about, but that's not really what it was about. We wanted to make sure that we were targeting to the right person. So we were able to get about 1,000 customers, and what they're gonna do is they're gonna test our product, they're actually going to try our product, they're gonna talk about our product. So it's a 2-month campaign, which will give us, which is really important when it comes to marketing, it's both quantitative as well as qualitative. qualitative data. So super important as you guys are thinking about marketing, there has to be those both, you want both roads around. Data is so important in general out in the industry. No matter what you do, it's about data. So what's going to be great is that we're going to get that back and make sure that we're really then our future marketing campaign, which will really kick off for us in April, will then be targeted from all of that data that we're going to get back and making sure that we're targeting, we're talking, we're doing the right things. And then when it comes to our ads and anything that we're doing there, again, it all gets targeted to the right customer. And so we're really focused that way. So this company's been incredible for us. We're super excited about what we do get out of it. So that just launched 2 weeks ago. Everyone just received their boxes this week. So we'll start to see over the next 6 weeks what comes from that.
I'm gonna ask another question. Interested in any kind of like brand ambassador high school student?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, absolutely. So 2 things that we're actually, we're in the works of doing right now, because we feel like being able to figure out how to get these, the high school students involved. We have 2 students right now based out of Providence, where my kids are at school, which is great. They're all in, they're excited, they're doing things through their school as well, through their empowerment group. But we definitely because we want to understand also how we're talking to them, how you guys can advocate for them. If this is stuff that you can, it's a great resume builder. It's something that you're doing. You're being part of a brand. You're being part of a startup. So definitely something that we are. So we're two programs. We have both this ambassador program for the high school students, and then we also have an affiliate program. And within that affiliate program, it's really about generating income. Another great way for us to sell our product, because we are subscription-based, we're right now not in stores, but it's really going with like-minded customers or like-minded people who are interested in our brand, maybe interested in something else that has to do with organic or clean, and they are the ones that are actually jumping onto the bus and wanting to be part of this affiliate program as well.
What has been your biggest hurdle, either getting your product here, or government, or has there been any government?
Yes. Believe it or not, as much as the US FDA does not oversee the ingredient list, it is still considered a medical device. So we had to get US FDA registrations, import documents, importing in general. I probably watched 3,000 YouTube videos on that and how to trademark, and it's just a lot of paperwork and things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. So that was really challenging, but really the biggest challenge is sourcing product. It took a full year to find a manufacturer, and because there's only 3 for the whole world, and think about it, Europe is much more advanced with their organic products and their clean products. We went over there the first time, and they just said no. They said, we don't have enough capacity. We can't. It took 3 trips over there to convince them that they could trust us as a partner to do the right thing by their product and to represent them in the United States, and that we were in it for the long haul, because it's a huge capital investment, and it's a big deal for them to print our boxes and to truly partner with us. Sourcing is that's going to be the hardest thing probably if you're a physical product. It's getting that physical product produced and over here, and then all the registrations and duties. I mean, there were even things like the first time we imported, I went through the bill with the lady at FedEx International, and there was a $1,700 charge for our bond. And I said, what's that? And she said, oh, you needed a 1-day bond. I said, well, can I buy my own bond? She goes, sure, a bond. I go, well, how much is that? She goes, you can get a bond for a year for $500. I go, well, why would I ever do a $1,700 bond for 1 day? They go, because most people don't ask. So my point is that it's worth paying attention to the detail in everything on every single one of these things, because there were so many things we didn't know. I'm not even kidding you about how many try to trademark something. I challenge you. And if you do, like, whoever their teacher is, give them an A, because it is the craziest thing you ever go through. But it's really, really important, and it's really fascinating how it all works. But that would be, everything about sourcing the product. Selling it, you would think, would be the hardest part, but this is actually the fun part. It's all kind of fun, but
Yeah. Any other questions, guys? Yes.
I know earlier you said something about reaching people in Asia and Africa. How do you expect to sell a product that's more expensive than the lower priced brands, if they can't even afford those?
What a lot of companies are doing is you find a partner organization. So instead of actually shipping our product over there, there's one model where we just provide monetary resources for them to set up machines and produce product locally and give local women jobs. So that would be the ultimate thing, is not just moving product around the universe, it's actually developing local economies. And it's really all about like the confidence that you get when you have a job and you produce something and can go sell it in your community. When you produce economic advancement, and that's when you really help. So the give back in another country would be more about providing the resources.
And that's what that movie that won the Oscar. It's a short documentary, and that's what it's about. It's about this company going and creating jobs for these women in India, because it is so taboo in India. I mean, they talk about it as a medical illness. The men have no idea when it comes to, you know, what a period. They actually said, oh, it's what happens when you go to school, the class periods. They have no idea. And then you actually say menstruation. You watch. I mean, just watch the video. It is definitely. It's, you know, yes, it's about, but it's not. It's a social issue, and that really was about establishing this economy. And these women now they finally have the confidence. Their husbands have different respect for them because they are working. So it's 25 minutes. Highly recommend it.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Should we tell them about the tax?
No. All right. No, I just noticed, so you have your daughter Josie in a lot of the things, but you also have a son.
Yes.
What's his reaction to your business of choice?
I launched this on his birthday. And he actually said, Mom, for the rest of my life, my birthday is going to be about your tampons. I said, oh, it'll be fine. It's no big deal. Like, I would tell you that, you know, he's a freshman in high school, and that was a concern. Like, is he going to be ridiculed because his mom started a tampon company? My daughter's totally into it. She's on the website. Her and her friends all want to be in the photo shoots. They're telling us what influencers to go after. Like, they're all in. Like, she thinks there's no reason why Khloe Kardashian wouldn't jump on the bandwagon. So we'll see. We're working on it.
Courtney.
Oh,
yeah.
Courtney. Yes.
Courtney,
See,
yes.
I don't even know.
I
Like,
yeah,
thank
I
you.
knew
There's
that.
one that's super
Courtney.
organic.
No, it's all Courtney.
But they all begin with a K. I get very confused.
It's all Courtney.
Do you know her? Can you help us? Okay, we need some help with that. I tried DMing her, nothing, crickets. But I would tell you, from my son's perspective, he, you know, they kind of know. I think they like the social aspect of it. But I would tell you from my own personal experience, where it used to be something I only talked to my girlfriends about, during this holiday season and everywhere we've been lately, all the husbands are now coming up and be like, tell me about this business. Mm-hmm. Like, that's a really interesting idea, because there's so many components to it, and it's something that nobody has talked about. We found a category that only 7% of the sales in the US of feminine hygiene are organic right now. That is so low compared to all other products out there. It's something, so even like the husbands are like, how do I invest in this? How do we become a part of it? Like, we think that you found something that's a really important issue. And especially now, think about how everything is about, you know, equality, and it's really difficult when girls are missing their education. So I would say, you know, my son hasn't, it hasn't been an issue for him, and I would tell you that more and more men are getting into the conversation and extremely interested in understanding how this works, because it truly is fascinating. The whole starting it from talking about an idea to actually producing a product that can hit on so many levels. And what I find so interesting is it's truly your generation that can make an impact more so than any other generation, because look at all the rallies around gun violence. These are all kids your age that aren't waiting for people to tell them that they can change the world. You're doing it now. And I know you guys are advocating for no plastic straws and a lot of issues. There's just so much more social consciousness right now that I think that it's just accepted. So whereas I thought it was going to be a thing, they're like, you know what, it's kind of cool that you're helping people out and that you're doing something interesting. When I was selling Hot Pockets, no offense to Hot Pockets, I would never talk about my work when I went out anywhere to a party. Now I talk about it everywhere I go. And it's not even so much about the product, it's just about the purpose and the mission. And if people really help each other out, and if you find something that resonates, people will help you. People will go out of the way. Ms. Honey called me and said, hey, I saw what you're doing on social media. I think it's really cool. Can you come and tell the story? I said, I will tell the story. Are there going to be boys in the audience? She said, yes. I go, that is going to be tricky. But she said, no, it's not about what you sell. It's about why you're doing it and how you got so passionate, and why would you ever leave the job that you had when you were the breadwinner in your family to do something like this. Because when in your life do you get an opportunity to truly make an impact on people's lives and make a change that people want to come along with, that people want to be a part of? Everywhere we go, we're a little like how do we set up this top leader program? And how do we move this ambassador program forward? Because there's so many people that want to be involved, but we're going to figure it out because everybody wants to be a part of it and everybody can be in some way. So it's, yeah, it's a movement more than anything. That was a long answer, sorry.
Good answer.
At any point, are you like, whoa, why did I do this? Why did I do
Almost every day.
Yeah.
Yes.
We talk each other out, like it's constant, the pep talks.
Yes.
We're good. We got this. You have to have that support system, and I think that's the other thing too. Is I think we've been overwhelmed by the amount of just our friends and old colleagues who have reached out to help, or once we reach out, they're like, absolutely. We have this Friday. We are doing with my old boss from Kate Spade. We had dinner with her. We were in New York, and she said, hey, I want to do a business plan with you guys. I want to help you build it out. She's been at multiple companies and very high up. And she's like, I want to help you guys. So she's spending the day with us on Friday. We're not paying her. We're not doing anything because she cares, because she wants to. And she also loves what we're doing. So they're building also, that's why I always say never burn bridges wherever you go. Super, super, super important. That's probably a huge lesson for every single high school student as you continue on. Don't burn bridges. Build those relationships and always keep your network. Your network is so important. It really, truly is. And I mean, I've always said the phrase, your network is your net worth. And these folks, they will, all of a sudden, they'll reach their hand out here. Oh, you know what? They may not be able to help you, but they can put you in touch with who could potentially help you. So that's been the other big thing for us, is that we have tapped into our resources and the people that we know.
Have you found more of those resources to be female or male?
Right now, it's female.
Yeah. And that's funny. And a point on that is one of what's been the most enlightening is we both came, so, our moms worked and they were kind of pioneers and hard charging. We came up in a time and we felt very grateful because a lot of the women in our generation got college educated and we got good jobs. But we also came up in a generation of women that thought that if there were 12 board seats, that there were only 2 for women, and they were going to fight to the death for one of those seats. What they didn't realize is that every seat was open to them. And we grew up with a whole group of women who were extremely competitive and just not kind. And what I see now is that my daughter gets to grow up in a generation of women that realize the power of women lifting each other up. And I don't mean this like, men have done a very good job of helping each other out. There's a reason why there's a clubhouse and teams and whatever. And I think women are finally figuring that out. That when you work together, and that's what makes the best teams. You girls are all playing sports now, your team is when you've got a good clubhouse. And when you are all working together, that a few star players isn't gonna do anybody good. And so yes, it's a lot of women, but it's a lot of women who've got big careers who realize now that not working together worked to their detriment. Yeah. And that when people work together and lift each other up, that amazing things can happen. We say it's just the 2 of us, but it's a lot more. It's everybody reaching out, and that's what I would tell you too. As important as don't burn bridges, this network that you're building, and the time that you're growing up with, that you're gonna work together and help each other out. And not be mean girls, it's awesome, because there were a lot of mean girls when we were coming up.
Yeah. Especially I'm in my industry, fashion. It was 95% of the people that I worked with were all women. And I moved up within my career. I was, ended as a chief merchant for Talbot's, and it was unbelievable. Some of my closest relationships were the women. But then when there was that competition that came in, I played sports, so I'm all about team. I'm like, this is what it's about. And when you had that one person, you're like, what are you doing? Why are you sabotaging? Like, we're in this together. But it's so important to just really, where you can, and every moment is to band together and lend a hand. I think that's another thing too, just in business, in any point in your career, lend a hand where you can and help somebody out.
In 5 years, where would you like to be?
that's it.
On
In
our
5
sailboat.
years. Huh?
On our sailboat.
Yeah, exactly. Big old boat. No. In 5 years, if we're successful, we're going to manufacture here. Because exactly your point about it being affordable, it is more expensive now because we've got to import it here and we're not making it ourselves. If we can figure out a way, and we're going to figure out a way. I mean, the good thing about her in textiles, she's got friends in manufacturing. We can figure out how to make it here. Then you can truly make a better, safer product that's available to everybody. And it will have a health impact on women for years to come and generations. So that's what we have to get to. And building a factory, because we've all worked in, we've worked in factories and warehouses, it's probably about a $15 million investment. It's huge. And as little as we know about importing, and we know nothing about manufacturing, but we've got to figure it out. And that would be what would make us truly successful, because then we could make our brand, but we could also produce store brands that would be even more affordable here stateside, so that people have a choice about choosing better, safer products. And better, safer products in every category. We're going to expand into other cotton things as well. We're going to move into top beauty, top baby, top adult. Believe it or not, like incontinence. It was a joke when we first started that nobody likes to go to the store to buy tampons. But you know what's even worse? Going to the store to buy Depends for my mom. I'm in Target, and I got those two huge things. You see all your friends, they're like, they're for my mom, they're not for me. Another great thing that can be direct-to-consumer, these direct-to-consumer businesses are gonna continue, and to have 100% organic cotton top sheet, all the makeup artists want these organic cotton rounds, and there's one brand out there that's not even doing any marketing, and they're selling like $22,000 a month on Amazon. There's a need for a lot of cotton-based products. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and people understanding how important that what they use is to their health, and all the environmental toxins that for years we've tolerated, and we don't have to. And it's not going to be outrageously expensive, and especially when we can produce here. But this is about building, this was our start because there was so much advocacy tied to it, but it's really about moving into all these cotton products and then making them accessible and affordable for everybody. And no matter what happens, we're always going to be involved in the advocacy piece, because it's a game changer when you have the ability to really change people's lives with what you do for work.
Yes.
Is that it?
Could you elaborate, is it more on your difficulties with manufacturing
In this country, manufacturing in this country, the difficulties.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I'm kind of also a podcast nerd. I listen to a lot of How I Built This, the NPR. The guy from Quest Bar was one of the first ones talking about it, and also Chobani, that the equipment that's in the United States today is used to processing fake artificial ingredients. And this product is no different. If you run a pad or tampon through a machine, and they're primarily made out of plastics and synthetics, they fly through the machines. And that's what was needed, so that's the only machines that exist. When you put cotton through, and this is as much technical knowledge as I know, there's fibers, and they're thicker, and it jams up the machines. People actually, there is no machine. You have to retrofit it, so there's expertise involved to even make it process a better product. And they had the same problem, Quest ran in nutrition with their bars, because they used all natural ingredients, and it was clogging up the machines because they were actually putting real food through it. And Chobani yogurt had the same problem with, they were trying to use traditional yogurt machines, and they were getting clogged up when they were trying to put a heavy, thicker Greek yogurt. So Chobani went and bought a Dannon factory and retrofitted it to process a better product. Mm-hmm. And Quest did the same thing. They bought an old, I don't know, probably Power Bar, because Nestle screwed that company up too, factory, and retrofitted it to process a better product. So what we need to do is, and this is, we don't even know how, but we're going to figure out a way. We have to find an existing plant and have our friend in Barcelona fly over and show us how to retrofit it to process 100% cotton. And it's not that far-fetched, because Kimberly-Clark just announced they're closing 10 plants. And maybe it's fate, but stuff happens. I mean, they had that huge recall, they're laying off people, and brick and mortar's in trouble in consumer products. And especially because the big companies are really struggling with innovation, all their growth is coming through acquisition. So if we can produce a better brand, it would benefit everybody. Even if it got bought someday, because at least it would get in mass distribution, because the big companies have shareholder expectations, and they cannot invest in innovation, and they're not going to invest in equipment that's going to process safer products unless there is a real outcry. And that's our biggest challenge. As much as manufacturing, it's about education. Because there are certain products you just don't think about an alternative because you've always used the same thing.
And especially for you, for this generation, and for all of us, especially for girls, is use what your mother gave you. And so it's also allowing you guys that education piece to know that, oh, there actually is a better option. Let me go talk to my mom about it, because it is. I mean, that's where she's going. She's the one who's out there buying your products.
You said there's 7.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I have a question. I heard you mention the tax, and I was just curious how that affected you as a business and like helping.
Huge. Yeah, there's so many levels to the advocacy. Tax is one. There's 2 that I'll tell you about. The tax is one. There are still 35 states in the U.S. that tax feminine hygiene products as a luxury item. These same states do not tax Viagra, condoms, cowboy hats,
Doritos.
Pop-Tarts, dandruff shampoo. I mean, it's completely outrageous. It puts women at a true economic disadvantage. So there's a link to our website to sign a petition. It has 2 states have overturned it since we began, which is huge. I think you'll see a day when this is overturned. But one of the states that still taxes, it's not Massachusetts, it's California, which is a super progressive state. And when I did a little bit more research to find out how could California, who's so progressive, still be taxing these as a luxury item, it's because the revenue was too high. They couldn't replace the revenue, which is insane. So I think you'll see that change. Also, there's a congresswoman in New York who 10 times has brought forward legislation to require companies to list the ingredients on pads and tampons and also test the impact of women's health, and it has never left the floor. And if you look on her website under this, it just says that given the current political climate, the prospects of this passing are dim. But I think you're going to see it in our lifetime, because what's going to happen is we're going to talk everywhere, and you guys are going to go home and tell your friends and your moms and people about it, because it is outrageous. You know what is in everything you buy. How could you not know what is in something like this? It's insane. And until customers demand it, nobody's going to, and there are other products. There's a lot in health and wellness, and there is some coalitions forming, and we are going to be a part of those. But there are a lot of products, health and beauty products, that everybody's using that are toxic. And
There's 2 movies you guys should watch. Another one. Throw this one on with the other one. On both on Netflix. It's called Stink, which is about the fragrance industry, and then the other is called The Devil You Know. And it's about education. This isn't about scaring. This is about education. And Thyme said it. Like, all of this is truly like, we just need to educate ourselves. Nobody has asked the questions. Nobody has pushed forward. There is this disruption that is happening. We're thrilled to be part of building now into that disruption. But there is. It's just people need to know what actually they're putting in their bodies, what they're putting on their bodies, and what's around them, and what's in their environment, because it's pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. Well, and I can tell you a little bit more about cotton. I'd taken it out of the presentation. I wanted to make sure we had enough time. But cotton, so forget all the other synthetics and ingredients, but anything cotton is not considered a food crop. So it can be sprayed with pesticides. They also, in order to save money, use chemical defoliants to take all the leaves off. They just douse them with chemicals and pesticides. It is probably the most filthy crop in the world. It is also incredibly highly genetically modified. You hear GMOs? That's GMO, because what they do is they treat the seeds to increase output because of demand. So you're talking pesticides, dioxins are produced.
Bleached.
They're bleached to make them more white. It's a very filthy crop, and so anything that you're using with cotton, you just really need to think about it, because getting an organic cotton product, it's, in some cases, you know, Danielle, bless you, everything in her house is organic. I'm getting there. But there are some things where it's going to be more important than others. And I would tell you the piece with the organic cotton, at least in feminine hygiene, is there's a statistic that women will use anywhere from 12 to 16,000 products in their lifetime. They have their visitor for 40 years. I'm trying to keep this aboard here. That's a lot. What the US FDA said is the amount of dioxins that women are exposed to each month is at an acceptable level. It's insane. So this is the education part. It's just informing people so that they have a choice, so that you can choose and investigate anything that you're using that you think might be a problem. You know, we might not get to the point where every piece of clothing we wear is organic, but if there's something that you're eating or that you're putting in and on your body, just think about it, and there's a lot of research out there right now. And that's what we're all about. If we'll be known as cotton.
Yeah.
queens, our cotton empire. Yes, and we're building our network. So if anybody knows a Kardashian, we're still accepting.
Yes.
Yes. Any more questions? Cool. So I also, if anybody's interested, we have sample packs, and they're very small and discreet. It's a little box.
Stick it
It's
right in
got
your
one of
right
each
in your
product.
bag.
You can throw it in your bag. Nobody will see it. And also, if anybody wants to be on the list as we expand our top leader program or our high school ambassador program, just shoot us an email on our website. There's a support email. Shoot us an email, and we'll keep you on a list as we're able to do it. But ladies, go home and tell your moms.
Yes.
And if anybody wants to ask another question or grab a box, please do, because then I have less to carry out. Thank you. All right, thanks, everybody. Thanks.